a single person who had been married, was divorced, but had been in a company where she was performing really well, a real estate agent, and was one of the top earners, celebrating the 10th anniversary of her joining the firm. And she and a friend of hers were going to go on a holiday over the long weekend at a spa. And the friend ended up eating something and developing like a 24-hour stomach virus, so the trip had to be called off. So she was very disappointed. And her way of dealing with the disappointment, instead of having some concern about the friend, was to castigate the friend for not respecting her body, for being careless, for not taking care of herself, for always, looking frumpy, and not recognizing that this was her own disappointment that she wasn't really able to process, instead blaming her friend for the fact that that she caused the disappointment. And so blaming other people for internal states is another way of helping people tolerate these internal states without necessarily seeing them as other people's faults. So the first thing I would do would be to create space for the story to be told, including the expectations, the anticipation, what would be good about this weekend, what she was looking forward to, how it validated her, 10 years at the company, something nice that you're doing for yourself. And then I would say, let's take a little bit of a closer look at that. So your friend called you and told you that, the trip isn't possible now because she has this 24-hour virus. And what did you notice as she was speaking to you about this? But I stay with features of moment-to-moment experience that are often based in the body. So sensory processing, because in some ways, I think the sensory processing can be less shame-inducing than some of the cognitive processing. So someone who can tell me about a sensation of tightness in the chest, someone who can tell me about a sensation of throbbing in the temples, might be more willing to talk about that, or at least to note it, compared to feelings of anger or even beyond that, which I think is where you want to get to, feelings of hurt and disappointment, sadness, and really shame. And then the lens of mindfulness allows her to start to catalog any sensations that were present, any thoughts that came through her mind, any emotions. And I would say that probably the thoughts came first. But I might say, when you thought to yourself, I can't believe this is happening, I really need this, for example, how can she do this to me? Then I might say, and when you have that thought, or even now as you replay it in your head, are there any sensations in your body that you're aware of? So she knows that I'm accompanying her in this investigation. And I'm kind of holding her, close to what she's monitoring, what she's talking about. And yet, we're not necessarily getting to a place where it's a right or wrong. I'm wrong to blame her, or she's wrong to cancel. It's more, let's see this in a greater sense of fullness and richness. And in doing that, I think it allows her to start to see that there are elements of her experience that might be minimized. So, for example, if she said, she's talking primarily about anger, she's talking primarily about judgment of her friend. How could she do this to me? I've done so much for her. We were planning this. I need this, etc., etc. If she's not saying something about her internal experience, I might ask her, what about ways in which this made it harder for you? Did you feel disappointed, or did you feel let down? And she might kind of aggressively say, of course I did. And then that would be for me an opening to say, so if you're aware of any of those feelings now, what sensations are present for you? Can we amplify? Can you hold on to some of this and just tell me what that feels like? And then the invitation, of course, is not to say, look, this is really what's happening, don't blame your friend. The invitation for her is to see that all of this is part of the experience. So the blaming, the name calling of her friend alongside with her disappointment, her sense of having something, taken away, and how that hurts, and being able to hold some of that. So it's trying to increase her capacity to have a fuller sense of that experience. That's one way that I would work with it.